live in a bit. Let me double check that we are there. All right. We are live. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for the folks who are joining us on YouTube or Ermo. Reminder, if you have any questions, do ask them on Matrix or on YouTube. I will be monitoring everything. If you are watching this afterwards, please ask your questions on the support thread that Kiki has opened, and we will reply to them promptly. Today, it's a special community call. We have with us Vadim. Vadim is going to talk a little bit about Firefox Sync. So Firefox Sync is a very popular feature that a lot of our users are using, and a lot of people are asking questions in our support forums on how it's working and how I can use it. One of the favorite ones is about the backup and how I can use it. So Vadim is here to help us debug all those questions. We can take it from there. But before we get that, I am going to talk a little bit about Firefox 144, which has been quite busy for us. So we are having some known issues, and we are also having 145 upcoming release. On 100 and actually, let me share my screen about that. There we go. So on upcoming feature release, we are having search suggestions in 145, and we are also having quite some changes on Thunderbird. I see Wayne here. Is Roland also here? No, Wayne, I'm going to pass the microphone very promptly to you to talk about Thunderbird. But before I do so, I'm going to ask Joe if you want to emphasize anything on Firefox on 145, except search suggestions.
Version 145, I'm still aggregating feature release information for that. We have a couple pieces of information with regards to some experiments and what have you. I'm going to have that corralled next week in our internal release meeting. And then Konstantina, it'd be great if you or Kiki can share that out to the community, but nothing major at the moment. I will say 144, there was an issue, if it's okay for me to jump into that. There was an issue identified with regards to default search engines being reset. This has been an identified issue, and they have identified a solid repro, and they're in the process of deploying a fix for that as we speak.
Thank you, Joe. Wayne, do you want to give any update from the Thunderbird team? Wayne, can you hear us? I'm not sure if Wayne can hear us.
It's not looking like it.
Yeah. Okay, I'm then going to pass the microphone, the virtual microphone, to Vadim, who is here to talk about Firefox Sync myth busting. Is it actually a backup service? It's the name of this quick call. So Vadim, the floor is yours. I would like to say that Vadim is a senior product manager in the Firefox Sync system, so he's the best person to talk about Firefox Sync, and then I can ask a couple of questions that the community has already posted, and we can have a nice live discussion.
Thank you so much, Konstantina, and thanks for having me. Yes. So the question is, I believe, is Firefox Sync a backup tool? And what I can tell is it's a complex question, and it's not a question you can give a simple yes or no to. because so like if you force me to give like a Boolean answer, like false is true, like yes or no, I would say no, right? Because like the backup tools should actually match like specific criteria. Like backup tools should have things like timely recovery points, so I can go and just recover it like yesterday, or they may not work the same. Like with the way sync works, right? Have multiple devices, and all your devices, information from all your devices has been merged. This is kind of uncharacteristic for a backup tool, and in that sense, the Firefox sync is not a backup tool. However, so we know from like many researchers, user researches, from user interviews, that actually a large number of Firefox users consider sync to be a backup tool and use it for that. I personally use it for that, right? So I can backup it. Or I used to use it when I only had like Firefox on one device. Now I'm more like focused on this cross-device task continuity. But back in the day, for me, when I only have one computer, for me that was the main reason to have sync or something like that, right? So you kind of save your data in the cloud. So this is kind of, again, this makes a little bit a complex question to answer, because like it's, so the way I think about it, like if I'm thinking of analogy, like if you think about tomato, right? So is tomato a vegetable or a fruit? Botanically speaking, technically speaking, is not a vegetable. But people eat it as a vegetable, right? They consider that to be vegetable. It's like correct or not, that's a different question. And I feel it's something like that here, right? So sync is not a backup tool, but many people use it this way. Many people consider it this way. I think what we need to do, because there was like a lot of discussion internally, and also I saw some community members talking about it. I think we need to do a better job, and this is kind of what the focus of what I'm planning to do, to improve the messaging, to better explain to all users what sync is and what sync is not. And and while sync does have some backup capabilities and you can back up this data, it wouldn't be correct to just call it simply a backup tool, right? I understand I'm maybe all over the place and trying to show it from different angles, but my point here is that simply said no, but at the same time, many people use that, and you can use it this way if you want to, knowing that there are many reasons or many things that making that invalid for a backup tool, right? Because like one of the things, so if you have no recovery code and you reset your password, your data, and you all probably know that your data is gone, right? So again, it's kind of uncharacteristic for a backup tool to act this way. If you reset your password, now your data is completely gone, right? But again, if you know all of that, if you understand how it works, you can certainly use it as a kinda-ish backup-ish tool, for the better word. But again, I think we should do a better job communicating that properly in product to explain what it does and what it doesn't, and how different actions may actually end up affecting your data.
Nice. So that actually connects to one of the community questions. That was that for about 10 years, we have used the response signed off by the Firefox account sync team around sync not being a backup. Users assume it as a backup similar to other browsers, and there are cases where users wipe their own data when using the forgotten password process and are using Firefox on only one device. There's still plenty of times when users have not forgotten their password and lose their data. So I think that's an interesting user case that is coming from the community. And the question comes, like what you just answered, is Firefox Sync still not a backup service? If it has changed, who can we work with the Sync team about updating the common response? Just to give an understanding about what common response is what we're giving to our community. As when users are coming and asking questions, we have a list of common responses for it's kind of an FAQ for very usual questions on how to respond to them. So I think that Vadim, then we should work with you on updating that reply based on what you just said, on explaining to the user that, hey, it's not per se, as you said, a backup tool. However, we do know it can be used that way. Would that be correct?
Yes, totally agreed. And kind of just to give a little bit glimpse of our 2026 roadmap, because if you think about Sync's value proposition, right? So Sync has two main value props. like from I'm talking from product perspective, right? So two value props. For multi-device users, for the most part, Sync is a tool for sync the data across devices. So I open it here, I can access my password on my mobile, I can then open the same tab on my desktop or whatnot, right? So for multi-device users, that's the main reasons why people may want to use it. But for single-device users, and again, we have a large number of single-device users who signed up for Sync, it's this kind of backup-ish solution, right? So the data is backed up technically, even if it's not called this way, it's backup somewhere in the cloud, right? And for 2026, we actually want to double down on those backup capabilities without calling this way. I don't want to call it this way. I had this meeting actually with my engineering manager yesterday, and we talk about what we can do to really convert Sync into like a proper backup tool. And I want to work more with, so you may know we have an upcoming feature at Firefox for like more local backups capabilities. I hope it's not a secret or anything. Like we want to offer that for users so people can easily backup data offline. We want to work more with that team to kind of extend that to the cloud, right? So you can also have your actual backup in the cloud, but we're not there yet, right? So as of now, it's not backup, but I would like us to work more towards actually making a real backup solution.
Good. So we're actually having a follow-up question from Dennis, and Dennis is saying, so to make it more clear, the response says, the storage in between all attached devices is both temporary and fragile and is not stable enough. And I think that Dennis is referencing the current support article. Vadim, is that still true?
Can you repeat it again? I just want to make sure I answer it correctly. I am concerned with the word fragile and some other things.
So, and Dennis,
maybe because I'm letting it read it.
Yeah, please chime in. But Dennis says, the storage in between.
Oh, I see it now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I see it now. So give me a second to read it. All attached device was temporary and fragile. But I think the storage is not temporary because we're not removing that unless some of the events. Yeah, I think it's by semantics. Like, is it temporary? Not really. It's just like there are many things that may affect your data, such as setting password might affect your data. If you accidentally, or maybe not accidentally, but other way, you removed the password, for example, right? Or something from your saved data, it actually automatically updates your cloud data, which again, maybe is something that you expect, but if you think of Sync as a backup tool, it's something you may not expect. Like if it's a backup, it should not remove data automatically the second you remove that from local device. So I'm not sure if I fully agree with the statement that it's temporary and fragile, to be honest. But at the same time, it's just like the semantics of the backup tool just doesn't really work well with what we have. It's not 100% intersectional, I want to say, right?
Got it. Wayne, you're
not sure, so I'm not sure if answers the question fully, Dennis. Sorry, I tried my best.
Dennis, if you want to follow up on the chat, and I can voice your question if this has actually answered fully. In the meantime, I'm gonna pass it to Wayne, which I see that he's raising his hand.
Yeah, I have an analogy for that question, which is typically people think of a backup as a serial set of saving what you're backing up, right? So if I back up something today, I have backup number one. If I back up tomorrow, I have backup number two and backup number one. Another analogy is, let's say, email. Let's say Thunderbird email, and I have a draft message in my message compose. If I change something in that message compose window and I save it, it saves that draft, but it has overwritten all the previous drafts. The previous drafts no longer exist. So that is basically what sync is. It is a point in time only of what you have in Firefox. and there are no backups. Like there are no prior iterations of it, right?
I think
Is the
that's a great
question?
analogy.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Vadim. I'm sorry.
No. I was wondering if there's a question. I totally agree. Yeah, that's exactly that. But also in addition to that, right? Like if the other reason why I'm personally not considering, and just to be honest, right? We actually, it's a long going internal debate within Firefox team, is sync as backup or not? And I actually saw a lot of documents talking about like one way or another. But for me personally, and this one I'm leaning towards, oh, it's not backup, but could use this way, is because, so what I would expect from a backup, I would expect to be able to recover for specific data. I would not expect data to be deleted when I set my password. I would not expect data automatically updated when I change local data. But in addition to that, if I lost my device or something happened to me, right, and I'm talking about desktop, and now I want to recover from my backup copy, from my cloud backup, I may find out that actually, number one, I disabled syncing history, for example. I was not thinking that has some replication for backup. Now, history is not a part of this backup. It's gone. Then my UI configuration, the toolbar I configured, like everything I've done, everything we did with extensions is also not there at all, right? So this is kind of make it like, it kind of cuts out pieces of something that should be considered backup. And you ended up having just some portion of that, which again, like if you extrapolate that for the whole terminology, it feels for me, it shouldn't be called this way because there are so many kind of things that cuts out of that or eats out of that. So again, the way I see it. But it doesn't mean we are not going to change that in the future. Like the thing we're talking about today, so today is that, but like next year after, maybe it's going to be different. But as of now, that's how I feel about it.
Good. We have a follow-up question to this. To completely clarify, if I connect a single device to sync my data, and then remove completely Firefox with all of the data from this local device, can I expect those data to be on Mozilla server in, let's say, a year?
Absolutely, yes. Unless you reset a password, then it will be there, right? Roland agrees, I see.
All right.
If you're not doing anything, it's going to be set. Like Mozilla would not delete it by our will because we want to, right? Like you should do something for this data to be deleted.
All right. And then we have one more question. Let me get to that. If there are two devices to sync with completely different data, so that you can just add more data to any of them to fix the difference, what will happen? Is any data gonna be removed?
No, I think that depends on the data, if I remember correctly. But for the most part, and maybe it actually doesn't depend on the data, but like default behavior, the data is merged. I don't know if there any reason for data to be deleted. I need to think about it.
Oh, I see Roland raising his hand. Sorry, somebody spoke. Joe, was that you?
I was gonna say, to expand on that. I think we have seen cases where syncing data to a new device that has data on it, they concatenate the data from both the local and on sync. Is that your understanding also, Vadim?
Can you reiterate that? I'm trying to kind of understand.
Yeah, sure. So we have a sync account that has data synced to it, and then they have a local device that has data on it locally. They sync that account that was local to that account that was synced with cloud. And then what'll happen is sync servers will sync the cloud data down to the machine, so they'll have both sets of data on now also on their local device. Is that correct?
Yeah, it will actually merge both, right? So it will merge your cloud data and your local data. So the moment you add like a sync to your, so say I have a sync account and I have been using for 5 years or something, and it's still there. And then like I have a new Firefox, a new set of everything, and I connect that to that account, it will merge everything together. So my cloud data will be updated, my local data will be updated, but it will have both of those things combined into one piece, if it makes
Perfect.
sense.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that as elaboration to the case that Constantina just presented. Go ahead, Roland.
Oh, I'm sorry to overanalyze this, but just following up on the previous question, I was told previously that we should not rely on this, but I have Windows 10 computer. It's awesome. I'm using Sync. It's awesome. For Christmas, I get rid of that computer, never use it again. For Christmas, I buy a Windows 11 computer. It has now been a month. Are you telling me that if I remember my password, the server will still be there? The sync data will still be there? No other devices.
Yeah. Don't need to have a device. Like the data will be deleted by our decision. So I think there is some work going on. Like, and as also another question and comments about how log data will be on the servers, right? We don't have at this point of time like specific number of years that we keep data alive. I know there is some work with trying to find like super old data, like nobody uses account for like 10 years and maybe we not, yeah, right? So we may need to kind of delete that. So no one synced, like the account is just dead essentially. And we're trying to do like go through those accounts and see if we can clean them up. But there is no like actual number saying, well, 5 years and then we delete it. At least for now. Okay, to put it that way, I'm not aware of this time frame if it exists. From what I know from ongoing activities, like we don't touch these accounts unless they're very old and we're trying to clean it up so we can have more space for more users.
So I guess the point is, since it's not a backup service, it probably will work, but no promises. If I go for a Windows 10 computer, shut it off, log in with brand new Windows 11 and sync.
If you have your password or if you have your recovery code, it will work 100%. So the reason why I'm saying, oh, it's not a backup, because like two things, right? You may forget your password and you can actually, your recovery code, you store that on your Windows 10 machine, now it's also gone, right? So you have no recovery code, no password, like, and I cannot promise you will recover from that because of the way and the reason actually it works this way, because of end-to-end encryption. We had a lot of discussions. We want to preserve data. So this is something beautiful about Mozilla that like Chrome is not doing, like no one else is doing. Like we use end-to-end encryption of your data. We cannot open your data, even if it's forced by government, by someone, like it's completely unrecoverable without your password. It's encrypted with your password. But the replication of that, now if you lost your password, there is absolutely nothing we can do. It's just like technically impossible for us to restore your data if your password is lost and you have no recovery key, right? So it has a pros and cons. Like from security perspective, it's amazing. That's what we want to give to people. The data is absolutely encrypted, it's not possible to decrypt the data without having a password. But again, the downside, this whole reset and just sync as a backup, that's kind of the downside of all of that decision. Like we want to preserve secure privacy, but now we cannot say it's a good backup because what kind of backup is that if you cannot like recover that if you forgot a password?
Okay. I mean, I've been using Sync since it was in Firefox Labs and had no issues, but I'm special. Thank you.
Thank you, Roland, Tim, and Dennis, and Paul, who have asked the questions. Are there any other questions for them in the room? And I'm also opening for the folks who are watching us on YouTube or are now on Matrix or Ermo. Please do post them so I can see them. Oh, there we go.
There's several in chat, Constantina, starting with Tim's question.
I think Tim was the limit, and is still compatible with a sync made 5 years ago.
Such a good question. We need to figure it out. Do you know, Joe?
As far as I know, I've not seen any issues with compatibility, but that'd be interesting to test with. Roland, you've got an ancient account. Let's test it with that.
But no, my account is probably got edge conditions and edge cases. It's not a good account to test with.
Tim also asked a question about, is there a limit to how long data will be on the servers? And I'm assuming that's like under optimal conditions, no resets have been permitted. I did caveat that with a note that said I think this might be a bigger question that relates to account retention, since inactive accounts are periodically purged. But I guess in concept, Vadim, do you know if that, like, in an ideal world where, let's say, the account wasn't touched, would that account live in, until we decided to, did any purging or anything like that? That sync data?
Yes, that's absolutely right. Yes. So unless we decide we want to purge it because we believe that it's not been used for many years, and we want to clean up space so we can have more users store their data. And this is another thing I want to talk about super briefly about backup or sync in general. Like sync has limitation about the amount of data you can store, right? There's many things we would love to sync, but we're not syncing yet. So, for example, we recently added support for wallpapers, custom wallpapers on your new tab. Right now, it's not being synced to other device, and one of the reasons actually technical limitation, because like actually my wallpaper is a GIF or GIF, depending on where you came from, converted from an MP4 file. This we can agree that MP4 should be pronounced this way. So, but it really, I think it's like about 90 megabytes or like 100 megabytes. It's huge, right? So now if everyone can sync their wallpapers, and the wallpapers are like animated movies and they all like 100 megabytes, we need way more space. We're going to need a bigger boat, right? So that kind of put kind of this kind of challenge on what we can or cannot sync. But again, all I wanted to say that there are things that we want to clean up space so we can store more. And one way to do it, approach very old accounts that we believe people are not longer using. But again, this is more like honestly, it's outside of my area because it's like account purging and I'm on sync, no accounts team. But that's my understanding of how accounts do it.
Great. I am a GIF person, not a TIFF person.
Like Constantine, I'm happy to have a supporter.
It's important distinctions. And one more question that came in: is it safe to sync between Firefox channels? Let's say have one device on regular Firefox and one on nightly. Oh Lord.
I would say so, because we do, like, if you think about sync and browsers and like in general, we have people using Firefox on all kind of devices and operating systems, going all the way to Windows XP or whatnot, right? And like people who use it there, I know maybe Windows XP is a bad example. I don't believe we could have had sync there, but like what I'm trying to say is that we never making any feature that would really block old clients, like for them to update. It is from what I know, and I don't know the whole history, but from what I know, we're trying to make it always work so the older clients still support it. You will not be able to see that. Like, so for example, we recently added support for tab groups in Firefox. You may use it, some of you, right? Currently, tab groups are not being synced. And we would like them to sync so you can sync them across your devices. And I'm still not answering the question, but I'll get there. So we want to add support for tab groups, but we also understand that actually not everyone has the most recent version of the browser, so they can sync it. So I may have this desktop which has support for tab groups, but I have an Android phone which doesn't have tab group support yet. And I enable sync. How is it going to work? We're not going to break the Android client because it doesn't have support for tab groups. All I want to say is that the way we build sync, we try to make it work even for clients which are not the most up-to-date client. And the same thing applies for nightly versus regular, because nightly, what is nightly? Nightly is just like more recent version of that, right? So it should work between nightly and your current release, but also between different releases, because again, not everyone updates their browsers the same second, right? How it answers the question? The long answer to a simple question, which I could have said no or yes, but I was like, no, let's talk about this support of Windows XP or whatnot.
Awesome. And one last question, though. What are the geographic limits on sync? Are there any where the sync servers are not available?
Amazing question. Sync is not available in some countries, which I don't remember by heart, but there are some locations and countries under sanctions where sync is not available. I think that's the main reason. But again, I don't have the list handy. Like if someone asked me this question some time ago, I found this answer, but yeah. So short answer is yes, there are some place was not available. I think there is at least somewhere. Yeah, I'll check if we can share that.
SUMO would
But
be a
actually,
great
maybe
place
I
for that.
wonder if it's SUMO pages, right? Yeah.
Yeah, if not, I would say we'd probably need to update that article. So great call out and great question.
I was muted. We have 10 minutes left, and I want to make sure that we give some time for Roland and Wayne to talk about Thunderbird changes, but also give time to Ine if any other questions. So any last questions from folks here or YouTube or wherever you're seeing us now? No. Well, thank you very much, Vadim. If you're watching this call late, after as a recorded one, please do ask the questions on the thread we have opened, and I will make sure that Vadim sees them and replies. Vadim, thank you very much for being here with us today. I will for sure ping you to update that common response for Sing for our community. And we have some minutes left, so I want to give the floor to Roland and Wayne because our community is also very involved with Thunderbird, and we have some updates that they want to communicate.
Wayne, go ahead. My bandwidth here is not great today.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we have some great items coming for Thunderbird 145 release channel. 4 items that I have as significant: DNS over HTTPS support. Address book creation has been added to the account hub, the account hub is fairly new. Support for Exchange has been available for some period of time. It's been in development, but we are officially announcing it with 145 as being fairly ready for email synchronization. And then the last thing I have is we will stop shipping 32-bit binaries for Linux x86. That's all I have. And we'll be happy to answer any questions if people add them to the live stream.
And I have a thread about Thunderbird for Android.
Oh no.
There goes those bandwidth constraints he was talking about.
How
Yeah,
we present Thunderbird for Android. Thank you.
Roland, we lost you for like 10 seconds.
Oh yeah, see, my bandwidth is terrible. Okay, I would just like to ask people to give me their brain dump of pain points in Thunderbird for Android, so we can better document them, do other things. You get that? Hopefully.
Yes. So if you have pain points for
Okay.
Thunderbird for Android, there is a thread from Roland. Go and hit him up on and tell him what are those pain points. All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for a lot, Vadim, for being here with us. Live long and prosper, and see you all next month. Have a good one.
Thank you all.